Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast, and we are coming to you live from the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, where we are nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Edwards Plateau. Bones are less dusty. We've been getting lots of rain. It's good. Our lake is empty. You guys...
Is it still empty?
I feel like it's empty.
Oh,
The Medina Lake?
Yeah.
Hi.
Anyway, enough about the weather. So glad you guys are back. Real quick, I want to get into this. Ben and I had this trip to Florida. Some of you guys know this already, but we went to Florida and we took some fragments, vase samples, to get them looked at with an electron scanning microscope, which was awesome. So we're going to be getting into that. I have a little bit of video from that, and I could talk about the process and show you guys what we may have learned. Not sure. But first, we'll give you guys a quick update on where we are with the harvest. It's mostly done, right?
Harvest is done.
Harvest is done.
Fermentation
is almost done.
I never hit record. What
Kyle
is the deal?
Didn't hit record, as always.
Classic.
The stream is going out, but the podcast part is not being recorded.
Oh, wait, I think I know the fix.
Right.
I've heard this problem happen so many times. Let's see. You have to go pull a chunk off of
Yeah.
the
Yeah, we
live
have to get
later.
the audio from...
Yeah.
The problem...
So many zero mistakes that she actually
She
knows the
knows the
protocol.
solution.
I know the solution.
Okay, it's going.
Yeah, so the question on the update is like, are we going to try to get back to the weekly schedule at this point?
I'm trying.
You're trying?
That's why I'm like, are we in a podcast this week?
Yeah, and I'm like, aren't we still on break? I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, next week we start steaming barrels. We're going to barrel down. Most of our reds are in tank, settled. And then after that, I know we have to press one more load.
Yeah.
But that'll just be a day. And then, we should be barreled down in like a week or like by the end of this week, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to start bottling.
Right. The bottling is... Those
But
are long days.
I want to take it to Kerrville Hills and just run it through their bottling line.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Man,
Yeah.
you're going to be really let off the hook on that,
Yeah.
aren't you?
I'm losing my career.
we got to get labels, which means I need solid Luigi.
Yeah. We need Troy. By the way, I hope... so this is the other
But
thing.
yeah, I think weekly podcasts is we should be able to do that now.
All right.
Like we're officially back?
I think so.
Okay. Hey, everybody.
I mean, we have done one a week for the past 2 weeks.
So what Kyle's saying is he can spare 2 hours a week to show up and sit down, and hopefully I have stuff for the show.
Damn right.
It'll be great. It's how it started.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So we can hopefully
The old September
This marks
reset.
the beginning of or the end of our harvest break then, which is good. So yeah, cool. So I can start scheduling people then.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can start scheduling people.
And we're going to get on the one that we
Yeah.
had a...
Yeah. We can reach back out to
Yeah.
that person and be like, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
We've got guests coming in the works.
We do have guests in the works and book reports coming up. I know.
I've got tons of show material.
Kyle
folks.
actually has been working on show material. Like 5 minutes.
I
every
started
month.
actually reading a book.
He does. He sits with his phone and reads it off the screen in bed. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, he's been talking to me about the stuff he's reading, so that will be coming up. It's good stuff. And the other thing, we're doing this kind of earlier in the day, so hopefully some of our UK snakes are here, or they'll be watching this later. But we are gonna be in the UK, right?
Yes.
In October.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still, I mean, this is horrible. Like, we got to get these meetup days and places figured out, which
Yeah.
I haven't done any.
I was thinking it's gonna be 8th, 9th, something like that of October, and we want to hang out. So we'll be in London.
Okay.
Somewhere. Anyway, in the Discord, we can discuss all this stuff and figure it out. People have given suggestions, but yeah, people want a specific day.
Yeah, I agree. And I've had some of my friends telling me about, well, I'll take you here, take you there. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot to do, a lot of places to eat at and check out.
Well,
and then the Petrie Museum.
Yeah. And the London Museum. I'll work on it. Nailing down dates and places. So it'll happen.
Yeah.
Might be last minute.
Right. It's going to be last minute. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
Just be in London and wait for us to tell you on the Discord which pub to go to.
We should be able to just pick days pretty soon. That way
Send
people
us your
can plan
address.
for that.
We'll mail you a pager.
What?
And everyone just wear your pager. And when Russ sends out the back call, it's go time.
A pager. Man.
Yeah.
Did you ever own a pager?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do know you had one.
I had a pager. It was pretty cool. Clear green plastic. You could see all
you
the
could see the electronics
circuit
in there.
board in there. It's like, sweet. Dad's calling me.
Did I have a pager? I can't even remember.
I definitely had a pager
Okay.
when I was in high school.
Okay. I probably did. Yeah.
And I had to go to the payphone to return the call.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about this. Someone reached out to Ben from Uncharted X. Shout out to Ben with said he's got access to an electron scanning microscope, and he was like, "I'd be interested to look at some of these vases, but we would need samples. We can't put the entire vase in the microscope, but like let's look at these under the microscope and see what we can see with tool marks, with residue." So Ben got a hold of us and was like, "Hey, are you guys interested in this?" And like, yeah, but it was right in the middle of near the end of the harvest process. But we decided like I could go. Kyle had to stay, but I could go out there. So Ben and I went out to Florida for 4 days and spent 2 days with this guy looking at samples under an electron scanning microscope. So I want to show you some of the stuff with the setup here. So I can get this started and we can mute the audio. Will that work? Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if the audio would come through on the stream,
Okay.
but it might.
Let me start it and see what happens. Oh, it's going to start it up there. How do I get it up here? So can I make this only?
You can drag it down there.
Yeah, open down here.
Got to go down through the corner there.
I don't see it down here.
Huh?
It's not showing.
Won't let you take it down.
It
there.
won't let me do it.
Okay, so let me take over.
Okay. 1 second.
We
folks.
we should have tested this out before
Hey,
we
also-
started the show.
I'm just looking up there. Is my track recording?
Nope.
Whoops. Oh, zero mistakes.
There we go.
Now it is.
Feels
No.
good to be back. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Thank you for pointing that
Yeah,
out.
good job pointing that out.
Quality control, guys. This is what I'm trying to do around here.
All right. So I think I know why it was doing that. Which one do you want to play? Just pick it now.
Let's start this one.
So you can hit spacebar, or
Okay.
now you should be able to drag it. Wait, let me see.
Okay.
Because it was on a full screen.
There we go.
Dealio. Okay.
Yeah.
And we can mute like that and then play. So do you want me to switch over?
Yeah. Switch it over.
This is great.
Yeah. This
guys.
is awesome.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Get this down here and play it. So this is just showing you the setup. So that is the microscope. And yes, barefoot. You have to do science barefoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's Ben and Max, the guy that was working with us. There's actually 2 microscopes there. Hopefully you guys. This is an older one, and it's like liquid gas cooled. That's what this thing is. And then this one, which the one we were using is electronically cooled. So this is the cooler and let's see, I'll show you a little bit more here. But this is the setup. And here, right here is the chamber that we're putting the samples in. So it's pretty small, as you can see. Hey, Bruce, thank you, man. $20 from Bruce for Laura's quality control. See?
From Debbie. Thank you, girl. I got your back.
So this is the chamber, and it has to pull a full vacuum on there. So we put the sample in I'll just keep letting this play. So you put the sample in and then close it and seal it. And then you wait for a vacuum to be pulled on it. Oh, and you can see he's got the computer pulled out there because when we first showed up, he was like, bad news. I booted it up this morning and it isn't working.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. Zero mistakes. He was like, it was working fine last night. So he's got the computer pulled out and he was pulling cards out of there and checking them and putting them back in, trying to figure out what was going on. But it did start working. I'll move to the.
I'm having an
Can I just hit
OCD
next?
situation.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was going to try this. Let's say, so you do that, and you
Yeah.
just scroll over.
Okay.
And I'll try the next one and see if it'll open it in full screen.
Okay. This is just more shots of the microscope. This would have been a great. Yeah, Anna says it would have been the greatest opportunity to wear butt flaps. You're right. I should have shown up in a butt flap. Just this butt flap science. Okay. So now I'm looking at the back of the two machines. You can see there's a pump here. Right. It's like, this is cool. So I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty simple wiring job. It's nothing really too complicated back there.
I mean,
No one's laughing.
well,
that was a joke.
I was actually thinking it looks so complicated to me. But then I thought, well, Russ is such a computer nerd. He knows how to do all this stuff. Maybe
Yeah, it's
that's
completely simple.
Right
Like-
when you were telling the joke, I was checking to make sure the video audio wasn't coming through the stream,
Okay, yeah.
which it seems not
To
to
Kyle,
be
that
doing.
was a very simple wire. To audio guys, that's like, there's nothing there. It's not a big deal. You should see the wires Kyle has in here.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
looking pretty.
Now we have multiple screens.
I
of
kind of
this.
made it better though.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just a shot of a few of the pieces we brought with us. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so right here, you can see there's a few, and these are from, private collections, just a couple of tiny fragments, basically. And we did get to look at all of these under the microscope, but it's not it wasn't an exhaustive. Let me back that up. Right here, let me move this. On this one of the things we were interested. This is the first piece we looked at. This is the first one we put in the sample and in the sample cage, and you can see this tool mark here. So this would have been the bottom of the vase right here. And they apparently would core them out with the tube drill
yeah.
first. So this is a tube drill mark on the bottom of the vase. It would have been a big circle like this. And so we looked at this pretty carefully under the microscope, and you could see the tool marks, but we were looking for any residual tool material in the tool marks, and surprisingly, none was found. And this was the most interesting thing. Out of all of the parts of these various pieces we scanned, we didn't find any copper. So let me show you how this works too. I've got, let's see, the microscope itself can do basically like a spectrograph. You can see it here. Down here, it's giving us a return on the elemental materials it's seeing in the sample. And so this was really interesting. So not only do we get a visual of the material we're looking at, and this is zoomed in. This is 1,000 microns. So what is that, 1 millimeter? I think.
Oh man, probably.
Yeah, I think so. So it's 1,000 microns right here. But the point is you can pinpoint any particular spot in the image, and then it takes a little while, and the microscope will
1
give you a
millimeter.
return. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can see right there, we've got some iron along with silicon, aluminum, and calcium, which is stuff you would expect to see in this material. Okay. We never got a copper return at all. This was really interesting because we're told that this was with copper, made with copper, and there was no copper anywhere on any of the parts of these pieces that we scanned.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
have
sorry, I'm just being
questions.
OCD.
You have a question?
Yes. how I don't know how to ask it, but out or what are we?
Yeah, okay, that's a good
Give
question.
me some more.
So it's not penetrating the material.
Okay.
Okay. This is basically like it's like an electron, it's X-rays, right? And so it's hitting stone and basically bouncing off of it.
Okay.
So the image we're seeing in the up here, this image is what the X-ray is returning to the sensors, and then you can get a point reference of any given spot. So you see the cursor right here. He would take this cursor and we'd look for a bright spot in this material. There's not one in this screen here, but he was saying like metals will return a much stronger signal than the minerals, right? So if you find a really bright area, we zoom in on it, put the cursor on it, and then wait for it to give us the materials. Now, a lot of times, because there's so much crystal in this, like crystalline formation, specifically with silica, a bright spot would just be because the angle of refraction was perfect and it would look really bright, right? But it was because of how the sample was sitting in the cage and the angle that the beam was coming in, right? And it would it was sort of like it was refraction. But sometimes you'd see this little object that's a strange shape, and we would find iron.
So is this, I mean, is this mass spectrometry?
Yeah.
How is it? You're saying it's X-ray, but it's all about
No, this is I'm pretty sure this is a different tool.
Okay.
Right? The
So
X-ray
the
is
microscope is one thing.
Yeah.
Doing X-ray.
Yeah.
And then this thing must be a mass spectrometer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see here, he's sort of right there. He's decided what is this interesting little bright spot, right? And you can see as he's interested in this little tiny thing on the surface there. So now he's zoomed it into 290 microns. And you can, the whole surface of the material was really interesting. He kept commenting on how clean the samples were. He's like, did you guys
rub on them for a while and just think, oh, I'm so happy I have this.
What you're hoping for is when a tool was cutting in stone, that there are going to be microscopic bits of the tool material that get jammed into
so they're
the
not just
crystalline
coming out.
matrix of the stone, right? And so it isn't it can't be washed off, right? And there was just not a lot of that. We saw tons of tool marks, and there's nothing in the tool marks. And he began to suggest, and this is really interesting. He's like, this suggests that it was being etched with a washing, like
water or something like that.
Yes, he says this is really interesting because it may suggest an ultrasonic.
Ultrasonic
cutting.
I've been on the ultrasonic bandwagon for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no copper, everybody. Did everybody hear that?
Okay, so
here's what we need to do, though. We need to Chuck. We need Chuck to send that guy a sample of his own, coring out some granite.
Yeah, yeah.
And
we
then,
talked about this. We need some controls.
We need some controls. Yeah.
Yeah, we need controls.
Where are we going next?
Let me see. So this was. I'll just show you guys
It's
more
really
of the.
annoying. It keeps doing that up there.
So right here, we've put in the first sample, and you can the pressure in the chamber, and the coordinates that we have the little plate is at. So you put the sample on this plate, and then you can move it around. The plate moves around, and the beam is in one spot, right? So he's zoomed all the way out right here. It's 2,500 microns across, and we moved the plate around until we found the edge of the sample. So you're trying to orient yourself, because at first you're just looking at a square of unidentifiable, sort of rough material, and you're like, what am I even looking at?
Yeah.
But you can see we found the edge. I know this is kind of far away because of but we found the edge that also has the beginning of the curved core drill tool mark in it. That's what this is, okay? This is the beginning of that curving. So we zoomed in and looked at this in detail and didn't find any metals. Nothing aside from the stone that you would expect. You can see the spectrograph readings here. It's silica and aluminum, stuff that you would normally expect to see in granite, basically.
So I know you cut tile with water, but what's the deal with when
water
you
is just almost like a lubricant for the
it's
blade.
just around the
Yeah, it keeps
it's
the blade
a diamond
cool.
blade.
Okay, so what are all the things that you have to have the water involved with when you're cutting?
Well, with stone, you typically are running water on the blade as the blade's cutting because it keeps the blade cool. And it also helps move the material out.
Okay.
And yeah, it lubricates it as well. So it makes it where it slides through and, doesn't. Because if you start cutting a stone with a diamond blade and you don't water it, then your blade's going to get dull real quick.
Okay.
You got to be running water over it.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
This is another image. Like, this just shows you how clean the material is. This is all just stone, right? And this is two different ways. Like, one of them's like topology and the other one is imagery. These two images, it's the same picture.
Yeah, the one on the right does look like it has depth.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like it's got a roughness.
Right.
The one on the left looks like polished, like smooth surface.
Yeah.
And you can see that there are these grooves,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is we're still looking at the core drilling grooves here in the first sample. And it's not zoomed in super far, right? It's still this distance, this yellow line is basically 1 millimeter, right? But I think it's interesting how clean these samples were again.
Yeah.
I guess we can let this play, but yeah, so we spent 2 days doing this, and I'll let these videos play and you guys can sort of watch what's going on. And you can see down here at the bottom, at this point, we didn't have the elements labeled. Like later, as we were going through and we were finding stuff, we're trying to identify what's being seen. Right now, we're just looking at tool marks. So there he's showing it, the topology image on the full screen. And it's just all stone. But at first, we're interested in these little bright areas, but they just turned out to be crystal formations that refracted the X-rays. And so they showed up as bright.
That is so cool.
Yeah. But you can see the clear tool marks there.
You guys were just in nerd heaven over
I mean,
there.
yeah, we're seriously
nerding it
nerding
out.
So
every
yeah,
day.
frightening me is asking if the iron could be present in the stone naturally. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Yes, but you would expect to find it with oxygen so that it's iron oxide if it's natural. And a lot of times we would get a strong iron return with no or a very tiny oxygen return, right?
That's interesting.
Now, again, this guy, Max, who you're seeing here, he is not an expert in electron scanning microscopy. What he does is he rebuilds these things and repairs them, right? And then sells them to like labs that want a cheaper, older model for whatever they're doing, right? So he's like he's basically more like an engineer in this case. And he kept telling us, he's like, this is fun for us to look at, but if we find anything interesting, we really need to get an expert to do this, right? So this was preliminary, and again, it was spot checks, right? So it was not like we systematically went back and forth over the entire piece. That could take a week,
Yeah.
right, to really check an entire sample. Like we got a little joystick and you're driving around hoping to see like a bright spot, and then we would pinpoint and be like, what the hell is that, right? So it was a lot of fun, and we spent 2 days doing that. Well, we spent 4 hours or something with Max on 2 different days looking at samples or whatever. And then we left a couple of the more interesting samples with him because he's going to do a more comprehensive study of them on his own and then get back in touch with us. It was a lot of fun, and it was really awesome that he did this. I do have a bunch more to show you guys here, but I just wanted to give you, like, all these videos are sort of to show you, okay, this is sample number 2. So now this is a different piece we're looking at here. And again, it was very clean, but this is a diorite material. So there he was zoomed way in. This is it. Okay, so he's zooming back out. 1,000 microns, and you can see that it's pretty clean.
So the light colors they look like they're raised, but they're not necessarily raised.
Not necessarily, yeah. But here he was pointing out these structures in this band across here, and he says him and Ben both said this looks like some kind of vitrification. I don't know. Neither one of us do. But this was an interesting, this whole section here, and there was like a sort of a band of it on the material. Like it looks like it's pooled on top, but we don't know.
It makes me think of just like a quartz rich area in the granite.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just associating the lighter shades with quartz because
it was also fascinating
you said
to me.
they were crystals.
Yeah, it's also fascinating to me how you can see this. I don't know, the material itself has this sort of like flowing. It looks like a lava field, But I mean, if it's granite, it was lava at some point, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, you see how it's got this interesting circular pattern there. I don't know. This is a question because, we've had this question of like, is there some kind of liquid polish on these? And is this remnants of something like that? We just don't know. But again, you see the returns here. It was mostly the same stuff we were getting for just the stone. There was not, there was nothing like anomalous in all of these areas. And now, so here he's pulled up the periodic table. He's going to start trying to identify the different returns on the signal we're getting here. So you can see him, he's picking different ones and like, okay, that one, what is it? Silicon probably he picked out.
And what an awesome tool.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
Something.
Yeah, he's just checking them all. What are we looking at here? So eventually we got them identified and labeled so that we could see easily as we went through. Move on to the next one here. What's this?
Also want to say Zach Wander, $5, says snake dogs in nerd heaven. Thank you, buddy.
So this is the sample we were just looking at. He was pointing out here, he wants to look at the underside of the lip to see, because there's some grooves. He wants to look at those tool marks because he was thinking if they were cutting with with any kind of metal, there should be bits of it left over. And this is the other question, like, really? Like, we don't know. Like, how long would something like that last? If it's 5,000 years old or 8,000 years old or 20,000 years old, is there really going to be any copper or whatever they were using left in these?
Well, there's that one that...
Well, you were saying it got jammed up in there. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. Is like, well, how, what's the likelihood? But
that's my question, because we did end up finding some metals.
Well, there's the one that Matt Bell has that still has the gold plating on it.
Yeah, but gold doesn't corrode.
Yeah, copper would oxidize.
yeah,
and gold...
is there still space for the copper people who believe that it was done with copper to say, well, it could just be gone?
I think there should still be oxidized copper in there, probably. I don't know. We just didn't find any. And so that was my question, is like, when we find iron, in there, and there were bits of titanium in one of the samples, which I'll show you guys in a minute. Like, should those be oxidized? How do you tell how old they are? Right? Because again, the other thing I'll say is, like, we didn't control these for any kind of, there was no control on the samples. In other words, like, no control against contamination. Now, obviously, we weren't trying to contaminate them with metals, but they weren't controlled for contamination. So the easiest thing to say against this is like, well, since you didn't control it against contamination, who knows where that piece of iron came from or that whatever.
Right.
I don't have bits of titanium lying around, so I don't know how titanium would get jammed in one of these, but we didn't control them for contamination. So,
yeah.
And when copper oxidizes, doesn't it leave like the green? It turns like a different color.
Yeah, but this word, yes.
And so then if there was little specks jammed up in there, and it would change.
I don't know if they were really small.
But I mean, it would still be copper.
Yeah,
right?
you would still see copper. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to test this, actually later on, he put a bar of copper into the test chamber along with a sample so that we could look and be like, okay, is it going to return copper? And like, yes, it did.
Okay.
He put the thing on the bar of copper and like put it, and bam, got this strong copper return.
Okay.
Right. So it's like, the thing is calibrated properly. The other thing that was interesting about that bar of copper, I don't have pictures of this, but when he had it, in his hand, it was a solid bar and it had been cut with a saw, and the cut end was shiny, smooth. And then we put it in there like standing up with that cut end facing upwards. And when we looked at that in the microscope, it had deep, massive gouges going through it that are completely invisible to the naked.
But the stone doesn't have it.
Right. The stone doesn't have any gouges.
Wow.
And that
cool.
was wild, dude, to see that. It was really cool.
Whoops. Wrong button.
Oh, that might have been me because I was moving this mouse around. Sorry. Okay. The other thing we looked at on this sample was this section right here. You see this crack?
Yes, I did see that.
We were interested because this fracture right here goes all the way through the material to the outside of the piece. So I wanted to know if this was repaired in antiquity.
Oh yeah.
And when we looked at it under the microscope, it's not a crack. It's not broken. It's a natural fracture in the material.
Okay.
So I was fascinated by that because now you're looking at they were hollowing this thing out and polishing it into this beautiful vase with this massive fracture going through it without shattering the material. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's a fine technique.
You gonna play that video?
Read that comment.
Which one?
It's good.
This one?
Which one? Oh, this one?
The green one right there.
Okay. Kynan Bat, $5. Hell yeah. Got to drop the kids off at school. However, I sense productivity might take a dive this morning.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you to everybody that's
Isn't
in
it
here
Sunday?
with us.
What are your kids going to school for Sunday?
They're in the future in Australia or something.
Oh. Yeah.
You can tell because that's Australian to bucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we switching back over to share screen here. Yeah. Is that the right one?
Let me see.
Share screen with thumb. Is that what you want?
Yeah. Why is it not? It's not working.
I'm stealing your.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Now we have 2 keyboards and 2 mice on this one computer. It's amazing.
My hotkeys not working. That's what I'm saying.
So
Scene 3.
let me back this up.
It's a lovely scene with wonderful acting.
So you
but
guys,
it's not. The hotkey isn't working.
you guys, I'll move this really slowly, but you should be able to see in the reflection under the lip there, you can kind of see the tool marks that he's talking about, the lines that go along the vase. That's what he wanted to look at. And then I was pointing out, let's look at this too. And he's like, what, this? Yeah. Okay. Move the more videos here.
We're
I
also
wish- I
out
wish
of
I
time on this.
Oh, we need to take a break?
Do we?
Okay, yeah, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
I got a bunch more of this stuff to show you guys and talk about. So we will be right back.
I think. fantastic break. Nice video Russ put together there.
Yeah.
It's just little background stuff for us of the tours and things that we've been doing. Awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, man.
Now the breaks are more entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we've been taking the comments you guys have been making, trying to work on some stuff.
Yeah. And it's, that looks great. So what else we got?
Okay, we got more of this. Let me switch back over to share screen here.
Let me do something real quick.
Okay.
Are we going to read emails today?
Yeah, I think we have
Okay.
time for that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted to give people an update on
Yeah,
this.
no, I'm loving this, but I just started wondering, like, wow,
Okay.
am I in here with no emails?
No,
Good.
we got emails.
Okay.
But so people on the page that are supporters of either Brothers of the Serpent or Uncharted X got the heads up on all this vase scanning stuff. But I wanted to tell, wanted to put it on the main
Okay,
show.
yeah.
Because we were doing this, we were showing supporters a lot of this stuff already.
Okay. Well, this is actually my first time seeing all of it, too, because I didn't watch it.
Because you're not signed up to the
I
Patreon.
know.
This is terrible.
Oh, well, didn't you put I'm loving it.
Anyways, go ahead.
All right.
Do your old thing.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Where are we going here? Bunch of surfaces. Okay, this is a. Let's see. So you can see again. You see the bright areas.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's 290 microns. So this is pretty small, like 0.2 millimeters. All right, and you can see the bright areas. And this is again. It's mostly. It turned out to be about the angle. That these edges were just reflecting much brighter. So we had to start looking for more definable shapes, something that's clearly anomalous and not part of the material, which was harder because, you're hoping to see something that sort of stands out.
Yeah.
But the problem is that there's a bunch of things stand out and you just have to kind of learn. He's interested in this particular spot right here. So he puts his yellow cursor on it, gets point acquire, and then tries to do the spectroscopy on it. And most of the time we did this, so right there you can see strong silica, right? A little bit of trace other things, magnesium, some aluminum. This is all normal, like when you would expect it.
Is that Na on the left there? Salt? Or, right? What is that?
Sodium.
Sodium?
Yeah, some calcium, and then like this tiny iron return. But, it may be, and this probably way over here might be a little bit of oxygen. So this makes sense if it's oxidized, right? And as we were going, we were refining this and learning. It was a really fun process.
That's awesome.
So that's just a quartz crystal then?
Yeah,
What
basically.
he's looking at.
Yeah,
So I wonder if it's a grain of sand though,
could be.
like that got embedded in there.
Yeah, could be. Absolutely. Let's go to the next one.
What was the cutting material that Petrie suggested that they must have been using for jeweled tips? Was it corundum? What was the thing because he was like diamond, they don't have diamond around.
Right. Chuck has suggested bort. Right?
Come on, Chuck.
Which is Chuck.
I've never heard of that.
No one is interested in what Chuck has to say. Right, bort,
More
which
like
would be a low
Chuck.
quality diamond, which he says is available in that area, or is not too far away. But whether they knew about it or not, we don't know. But yeah, Petrie suggested corundum.
Is that what
He would just say a jeweled cutting tip, right? That's what I remember. So this, now we're going back to the sample with the crack in it. This is an image of that fracture. And as you can see, it's not actually continuous, right? There's definite, like this right here shows you that it isn't a continuous crack. It's not the same as if it was broken. This is a natural fracture in the material that has been filled mostly with like solid crystal growth. So you can see there.
That's cool.
Which is interesting because when you're looking at it in your hand, it looks like a crack, but it's not a continuous line all the way across.
Now that one looks like there's vertical striations all the way.
Yes,
right?
these are tool marks.
Yeah.
You can see them very fine tool marks going up and down here. Yeah.
Yep, you can.
And I mean, that's really fine, right? But it's not super zoomed in either. 3 millimeters across there.
Man, that would, if I was standing there, that would have been a tough one. You got that pool in the back. See that? See that situation back there? And then you got this going on the screen. It'd be tough. Where do you stand, you know? Get that sun out by the pool or come in here and nerd it out.
Yeah, I can't find it, but I mean, I know I'm pretty sure it's in like Petrie's book, The Pyramids of Giza or whatever.
Probably.
Because I remember reading what he was saying, like that they probably didn't use diamond, but they used some other jewel that was like more abundant in the area or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
So this is one of the most interesting things we found the whole time we were there. So if you'll look at this, now that you guys are more used to seeing these images, I mean, this stands out to you almost immediately, right?
Oh, somebody in the chat, From Thought, he says, yes, it was corundum.
Right here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and also the darker one.
Oh,
What, down
Ben's here. He says,
Dark stuff, was that drawing interest?
he says, Petrie said diamond was what made the most sense, but he couldn't support it because there's literally zero evidence for diamond use or existence or value in the dynastic timeline.
In dynastic times.
Good point.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Glad you're out. Glad you're in the chats, buddy. We talked about including you on this, but we were like, we don't need that guy. We don't really.
I
need
was
him.
too worried to try to involve Zoom in this whole
Kyle's
process.
afraid that he can't get Zoom to work with the stream yet. So, ugh. But again, this was one of the most interesting things that we found. We spent a lot of time looking at this. You guys can see it here. I've got the mouse over it. This is a really small, whatever it is small. So you can see this is 200 microns. So you can make an estimate that this thing might be 50 microns across, something like that. But this square shape, which is jammed into this, into the crystalline material, you can imagine if it was a tooth or something, I don't know, some part of a cutting tool, but it's titanium.
Oh.
That's wild.
we sampled it all. You can see where this yellow crosshair, this is where he was sampling it here. We tried it in the middle of this little hole in the middle of it, and that came back standard crystal stuff. But all in this, it was a strong titanium return with like zero or very little oxygen. So it's not naturally occurring oxidized titanium.
So what do you guys think?
It's titanium is definitely a modern metal.
Wait, you said it's...
Like how modern?
I think it was first used in modern processes in like the early 1900s or whatever.
Okay.
Right? Before that, it was only used in labs in small amounts, and that was, still 1790, I think was the first time. I can't remember the dates. We looked them up while I was there. I probably should have looked them up again.
I was going to look up because never...
But yeah, look at that. I mean, it has it looks like it has a defined shape. It's square. Almost like you can imagine. At least I do. I see like this is an edge here, 3 edges, and then this is the broken side, like it shattered on this end. I don't know.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
Does that help?
I've been looking at the white spot this whole time, but I was making my square out of my orientation.
Oh, okay.
But I see what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah. Like this is the broken end of it,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so titanium occurs naturally, but not in its pure form.
Right.
It's found in minerals such as rutile, ilmenite, and sphene, which are present in igneous and sedimentary rocks, clay, and sand. It's usually found in chemical combination with oxygen or iron.
Okay. So look,
Yeah.
I know this is tougher to see, but the iron return is almost zero. The oxygen over here there's a tiny bit, not much. Very strong silica, calcium, and then there's the titanium.
Titanium is the 9th most abundant element on Earth. It is almost always present in igneous rocks and the sediments derived from
Right,
them.
so it could be a naturally occurring piece. It's totally possible. Again, none of us are experts.
Yeah.
But this makes it okay. There you go. See,
But
the
you got to
oxygen.
cut through it too when you're
Yeah,
when you're making the vase.
yeah.
If it was in there naturally.
So you can see the iron is like this. It's not there.
Yeah.
The 2 titanium returns this one is very strong. calcium, silica, the stuff you'd expect for the quartz, and a tiny little
No
bit of
oxygen?
I mean, there's just a little bitty
yeah.
peak.
Huh.
So it implies that it's been purified,
Yeah.
and now it's maybe bonded some oxygen later.
To make pure titanium for industrial uses, the minerals are extracted and refined.
Okay.
So.
And also, it's a big, cohesive chunk.
Yeah.
This is the other part. Like all
In a
around it
pure
is not
form,
titanium.
seemingly.
Yeah.
Did
Wow.
the dark, super dark spots ever?
Those were just. I know it's tough to see this in these videos, but the darker areas was just a different set of crystal growth types. Like when you looked at them really closely, it was a bunch of cubes or something, right? Like there's a trough in the material there with a bunch of crystals growing in it.
Okay.
But they're all tiny. So it's a very smooth surface, that where they've basically polished down and exposed these different shapes of the crystalline structure. Oh yeah, so Ben is pointing out, and this is true, like we found iron oxide and iron without the oxygen separately. The other thing we found is a piece of what looked like zinc. It was a clear fragment. I don't have videos of this. Ben probably does. There's it looked like a splinter, and it turned out to be zinc. You know, which is like, what is zinc doing in there? And tin. There was another splinter of something that was tin. Strong tin return. It was all in all, it was a really fascinating time, and I really appreciate Max doing this for us. It was really cool. I have some other stuff to show more about who this guy is because I think he's really awesome.
And
Just
so
a total mad scientist.
he is
That's
going to
great.
send you more data.
Nice
after he
keyboard.
does some more stuff too.
I think so. Yeah.
Looks
Yeah,
like he's working on some pretty complicated music back there.
His wife is a musician and an artist.
Aha.
Yes. So he's like the technical nerd, and then she's got these beautiful paintings and stuff all over the
That's great.
house. It's like, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, here's more video close up of this fragment. Look at that. So he's zoomed in. Now we got 100 micron scale. So you can see it's about 50, right? You can imagine that this thing is about a little less than half the width of this bar.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 40 to 50 microns across. But yeah, look at that. Am I the only one that sees that thinks it has like a defined shape?
It's like square, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now. A lot better, yeah. I can't really point. I would point to you where I would.
I mean,
where I was thinking the square was.
Yeah,
a second
it
ago.
looks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at a smaller square in the left corner,
Yeah.
not realizing that all of that was it. But yeah, I see it clearly now.
Yeah. This was a really fascinating.
Was this little other bright piece the same? Or is
I
that
don't think
something
so.
else?
I don't
then-
think this was. Yeah.
'Cause there's more. Like there's this one and
Right.
this one.
He
that
did look at one other piece. I don't know if I've got video of it in this general area of this thing. Maybe it was this one down. This one here that came back as a chunk of titanium too.
Okay. Yeah, it does have similar brightness.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, we were real excited. And then we started arguing with each other. Can this be like, and then we're looking at, consult the book of knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe it's natural. How do we even know what's going on?
Yeah,
It was fun.
that's really cool.
So there you can see he's refining the image. And then he would, he's like, okay, let's look at topology. Let's look at just the light scatter, the back scatter. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can have it show up on the
imaging.
imaging. Ben keeps getting in front of me.
His arms wrapped up. Did he get a tattoo?
He's
while
probably
you
saying
guys
the
were
same
there?
thing about you.
Did
Russ
he go
keeps
get a
getting in
tat?
front of
Is
me.
that what?
What?
Did he go get a tattoo while y'all were out there on your little boys' trip?
I don't think he
He's got
has
his
a
arm
tattoo.
wrapped up.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, there was no tattoo.
He got a frisbee tattoo.
So I'll show you a couple more things about this. Let's see. This is okay. So again, now here we're getting a strong iron return. You see this? This is iron.
Oh yeah, way stronger than the others.
And titanium. So there's both of them. Right here is titanium and Fe iron.
Live time 3-3, real time. Oh, stopped it just on the 3:33.
So it is, again, this is why we were like, okay, so it is worth it to, and it's also interesting that in all these little bits that we were examining, and some of them did turn out to be metals, there was no copper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the most important thing we can say is like zero copper, but then we found what appear to be modern metals. Tin is not modern. Like tin, obviously associated with the Bronze Age, right? So, but there's no copper. If it was bronze, you should get copper and tin in the return. And so it was just, it came back as tin.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I should play one of these with the audio so people can hear. This machine is loud.
It won't.
It won't do
the
it.
Audio is not coming.
The machine is loud the whole time.
Oh, okay.
It's keeping a vacuum on, and it's also the cooling for the X-ray is like all these fans going. It's very loud.
Kind of yell at each other.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it.
Worry about what?
Turn on the audio.
That's.
Oh, you're trying to fix something else.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want it to keep moving away from that screen. It's really annoying. I think that's what it was. It was because this was its own. Okay. We got more?
Can I move this? Let me widen this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Ben's saying he'll do a live stream. You probably learn a lot more if you go watch Ben's live stream on this stuff. Okay. Let's switch back over to this and show you a few. So the other thing this guy is doing. Oh, one more here we turned one. Ben specifically requested this. We turned one sample up on its edge. This is where he put the copper bar in. So because we wanted to see, is there a defined surface?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because one of the things that Yusuf has pointed out on some artifacts, like some of the boxes, is that there appears to be what looks like maybe a liquid polish.
Mm-hmm. That has a thickness into the stone.
It's got a thickness into the stone. So on this particular sample, it didn't look like we had something like that. So we're looking at the edge, the broken edge of the sample, edge on. So this would be the outside of the sample, and this is the inside. Outside over here of the what would have been the jar or whatever, the vase, and the inside. And that's the curve going down. So you can see it's just natural stone there. But there doesn't appear to be any kind of thickness, right? At least we didn't see any changing material on the surfaces there.
It's pretty crazy though that the piece of polished copper had all these ridges and stuff and the stone doesn't.
I wish I would. Ben probably has video of that.
That is crazy.
He uploaded his stuff for me to get right before I was coming over here. So it was too late for me to steal all his material.
Classic move.
Saying without oxygen, it's definitely an alloy. Without O2, it could be natural, but low levels in comparison usually points towards a smelted or crafted material. Yeah, that's what we were thinking too. Yeah.
And
Landon London, $2. Loving this. The truth is important, people.
You're
Thank
talking
you,
about
sir.
the truth about no copper? Is that what we're talking about?
Just this. It's just, yeah. And again, so I just want to caution everybody again. I know I've said this already, but we didn't control these samples. They weren't controlled against contamination. But controlling them against contamination doesn't change the fact that there was no copper found in them, right? And obviously nobody was cleaning these things so that they were, and so I don't know. But it would be interesting to, like, now that we've done this, can we get our hands on like a sample that hasn't been messed with, at least in modern times, you know, and get permission to scan it.
Yeah.
What do you mean hasn't been messed with? Like, what do you, like, you'd have to just.
Like, it would have to be from the site, right? We would need permission.
Yeah.
Need to get one in situ.
Right.
And then
like bag it.
Yeah. But still, it would have been tampered with back then, right? It's just
we can't
not
control,
in modern.
Yeah.
Just your control and probably tampered with all the work they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because some of the tunnels that we were in, you know, there was like piles of them. You can tell, but it was just they'd pick up that pile and they'd move it over there, and then they did.
Yeah,
here, you know,
exactly.
So
we would, if you know, but they still haven't, like, they're in that area under the step pyramid. There's
They're
a
still
whole
digging.
There's a whole section below that they haven't dug out yet. So, like, if we could get a sample from down there where no one's been down there in modern times, and you can get it bagged, and then you can look at it. I mean, how are we going to get this done? I have no idea, but it would be awesome.
Well, we got to talk about it though. To
Yeah.
start figuring it out.
Somebody needs to get a job as the lead archaeologist under the step
Oh,
pyramid.
there we go. Yeah.
There we go.
We can pull an
Somebody
ARE.
Snake Force, please.
Yeah.
Sam Fox, $1.99. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I want to show you guys this because this shows you more about Max, the guy we were working with. He's showing us, okay, so this is a titanium object he's holding. And he was showing us how it's been, this edge of it, dang, let me back it up a bit. But mostly I just want to show you this because this is his fusion lab. He's working on fusion in his house, but this part has been affected by being in oil that's vibrating. And you can see that it's like wearing it down, right? But yeah, look at this as the camera turns. There we go.
Wow.
Wow.
So cool. What's the liquid inside the chamber? Is it heavy water?
I think it's some kind of thin oil.
Oh.
Heavy water, thin oil. I mean,
yeah.
right? It's close.
This
And the
guy's-
borax is because boron is an excellent radiation, like for blocking radiation. So he's using boxes of borax as a radiation shield. Not protecting from radiation coming out of this device, but he's trying to control the radiation that gets into it because he's doing sensitive readings on what happens inside the chamber. Really interesting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, look at how much borax you need. All of it. He also had a big Tesla coil in his garage, which I didn't get pictures of.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he took us out there to show it. It was like 7 or 8 feet tall. This beautiful Tesla coil. And see if he could use electromagnetic fields to change the decay rate of radioactive materials, which is considered a scientific constant.
Yeah, yeah.
Decay rate, radioactive decay is a constant. And so he's like, well, is it really? Like, this is a great question.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So the decay, yeah, because then the decay rate of materials on Earth would be affected by the Earth's electromagnetic.
The biggest local
Yeah.
effect. But yeah, you're right. The Earth has a big electromagnetic field too, but we're all in it's like
Magnetosphere of the sun.
yeah. Like how many science fiction stories there are countless where they're like to do anything interesting in physics, you have to leave the vicinity of a star because you're sitting next to this massive electromagnetic thermonuclear ball of fire and it's you can't do anything interesting next to it because it's right there burning.
Yeah.
It's affecting everything. It's like, if you're standing next to a waterfall trying to whisper to somebody, and you're trying to record like minute sounds,
Yeah.
or whatever, you're checking like, what do the crickets sound like? It's
Yeah.
you're trying to
We got to
Questions?
something.
Donations.
Okay.
You got to go up. Yeah,
Sorry,
there we
I'm
go.
spacing out. Oh, Rex, $20. If the copper ain't there today, it weren't there yesterday. Thanks. Snacks.
Exactly.
I think that's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this is the correct, that we should have seen something, right?
Yeah.
But again, I feel like this gives us a reason to do more comprehensive studies of these, and Max is going to do that with the samples we left
That's
him.
awesome.
Thanks, Rex.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you,
that.
Rex.
I think there might have been. Was there any more?
Poor
Sam
Ben-
Fibro Fox,
Poor Ben, he's in our
$2.
He
Oh, we
said
already did
something else
that.
down there.
Ben's in our chats answering all the questions.
No, thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Sorry, bro.
Well, you guys are gonna have to get in his and help him out when he does.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
don't,
show
no,
I'll
don't
show
help him out.
a
Just
few more things
leave him
here. Like,
stranded on
let's
his own.
see. I got one more of Max's lab, I think. Yeah, he's trying to show us like how this object has been polished and damaged by vibrations. And he was suggesting that, this is an ultrasonic type of vibration. And if these vases were cut or formed using any kind of ultrasonic tooling, that it would just wash the materials there wouldn't, because the metal that is carrying the tool tip that's carrying the vibration is not actually making contact with the worked surface.
It's vibrating
vibrating a slurry.
A slurry, yeah.
Yeah.
However, he was showing us so look, this titanium thing is in an ultrasonic environment and it's getting worn down by being in a liquid that's vibrating. It's either vibrating and causing the liquid to vibrate, or it's the other way around. I don't know which one it is, but he's showing us that this end here that's immersed in the liquid is slowly being worn down by that vibration action. So you would expect to find some pieces of your tool tip, just not a lot as you would if the metal itself was doing the grinding work.
What's the liquid that is going in and out of?
You said it was some kind of oil.
It's in this thing. I'm pretty sure.
It looks like it.
I didn't pretend to completely understand all of this fusion stuff. But this is a really cool. I'm like, of course, you're trying to make fusion in your spare bedroom. This is awesome.
Well, if it's vibrating in there, it could be also cavitation bubbles that are damaging the the tool. Yeah, Jim Walker, cavitation damage. See,
yeah, cavitation damage. I also want to say, aside from the vase stuff, which was all interesting, I love the fact that people like Max are out there.
Yeah.
Because much you hear now, it's almost like the impression is being given to people that there's no value in garage science anymore. Yeah. You have to be part of a giant team that's massively funded by universities and governments. No, this guy is doing legit edge case science in his house and in his garage.
That's badass.
I love that. Like this is sort of like, I don't know, gave me renewed my faith in this kind of concept. I'm like, yes, dude, I'm happy that there are still people out there like you that are like, I'm gonna make fusion in my garage. Yep. I'm gonna change the local radioactive decay rate.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And of course I'm thinking does he wonder could that have cascading effect? He's like, maybe I'll turn it on, I get a bubble of decay change, but what if it spreads? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
Is he gonna thinking that within the magnetic field it will accelerate it or slow it down?
He didn't say. He just said, can I change it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if it would actually spread outside of the local field, then the universe would already be pretty.
All right. Well, everything's in stasis right now, but Max.
Max.
No, you're right, because Tesla coils are obviously fired up in other places. It's just that he was doing his and then checking to see if it changed, right? So obviously it's not a bubble that would spread.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea. Anybody out there is a science fiction author, here you go. Because if one guy who's trying to change the decay rate, does something that changes a physical constant in his area and then it spreads like a virus throughout the universe and changes how everything works.
Yeah.
Because it's a fundamental constant, right? It's a great science fiction concept. The other thing we did, I'll just show you guys real quick. We went back to visit Matt Bell, and we got some look. I got to look at some of his collection.
His specimens?
Yeah. So obviously these are just absolutely amazing.
I want to know what the purpose is of the one on the left with the lip being so different. Because they probably shape them for whatever they're going to use them for. You would think, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they actual vases or are they objects designed to be used in some kind of process?
Wow.
But look at that.
That is amazing.
That one with the long crystalline inclusions, what's that stone called? Isn't that the really hard one? The
I don't
hardest?
know. You think this is corundum? I don't know. It's a good question. But just being able to put your hands on these things is just awesome.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but look in there. It looks like a little drill just goes zoop right down the hole. You know?
Porphyry, maybe? That's
Porphyry.
what
Yeah, Ben's
suggesting.
saying porphyry.
But the lips are different. Some of them are big and
This is
flatter.
the old beehive.
Yeah, the beehive.
Some of them are like a shorter, smaller lip. There's different lips, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But look at this one. It cannot stand. The bottom is a point, so he has to put it like neck down.
Yeah.
We have one of those. We were sent all those 3D. Somebody sent us this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way that you can sit this one, if it's full of something, the only way it can sit upright is if it's in a stand.
Yep.
That one's interesting.
Yeah.
I think you and I talked a little bit about this leaving one of those sites in Egypt where versus it having to be in a sand or this the point just being shoved down in the dirt.
Yeah, you shove it down in the dirt.
Or
But yeah, look at the point on this thing.
Yeah.
I also think those lug handles, like all the drill holes in the lug handles, are kind of just a little bit
Yeah.
wonky.
When we were talking to Matt about it, he said
And some of them don't have holes through them.
Right. They're all drilled from both ends and they sort of angle out and point at each other. They're not straight.
Yeah.
But he also has some newer ones that he let us look at. Let me pull this up. And he did say I could show you guys this. Whoops.
Did we ever turn this over? Did we ever start?
I don't
No,
know.
I don't think
Probably
so.
not. What is it doing, bro?
I don't know. I want you to save it.
Am I clicking on it?
Just
Oh,
hit
let's
it,
save
delete.
it. Okay.
Hit delete.
Did I edit it somehow?
I don't know. Got me.
Yeah, so this one is beautiful. It's this little one right here. This is a really amazing piece. And it has gold leaf wrapped around its upper lip.
Wow.
It's not made with gold. I think they just...
Plated it.
Yeah, and you can see it's not quite even. So this reminds us, again, you're looking at this, it's beautiful, but it's...
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe it's a repair. I have no idea. I don't think it's a solid gold upper lip. I think it's like plated or something. That's awesome.
So they would have had a rough surface on the granite there, and
Yeah.
then they could have plated it.
But look at this. Let me
What's that tool down there on the?
It's a caliper.
caliper to measure. But look at the lugs on this one. They have...
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So again, this would require, if it's a circular cutting tool, it's actually having to go out here, right? A lot of the other ones, the curve is this way. These
Yeah.
curves are going this way.
Yeah, concave.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah, there you can really see it. It's curved like this.
Yeah, that's wild. Huh.
But yeah, he
So
showed
yeah,
it.
that wouldn't have been, they couldn't have turned that on a lathe. They would have had to do a different process to make it curve that
Look
way.
at this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now that drill is not in the middle, but it's really thin. And it looks like, I don't know if it looks like the schist disc material.
Yeah, schist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wow.
And it's been repaired. It was broken at some point. There's very thin cracks in it that you can barely, like whoever repaired it was a master, at repairing ancient objects. But under a blacklight, you can see it. You can see the cracks.
Wow.
Like the glue that they used or whatever.
Yeah. This one's also amazing. And this thing is heavy. I was having
I
a
bet,
hard
yeah.
time holding it with one hand and turning it around. But yeah, they're just, they're so amazing to hold them and you're looking at it wondering who made this and when, for what, how long ago?
Jim Walker was pointing out the gold. Scroll up just a little bit. He said, just a tiny bit.
You're down on the other screen.
Yeah.
Whoop,
It's highly conductive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did I miss that already?
It could be for some kind of conductivity. I don't know. It looked like,
More like decoration.
Yeah.
Maybe.
there's also one I don't have video of, but there's one with gold handle on the lug, or gold leaf over the lugs or something, right?
Oh, okay.
So it's like a kind of decoration.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I got to look at a bunch
Somebody
of these.
says, How scary was it holding these?
How scary. The carpet in there is very soft.
Okay.
But still, yeah, you want to be really careful with them. So anyway, there you guys go. It was a fun trip.
Thank you for that.
And yeah, I appreciate Ben inviting me, and like, of course, Max. I want to get Max on the show.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was like, dude, we can talk Vases, but I want to talk about your other projects. This is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So I think he has tentatively agreed. He was like, can I watch your podcast? And I'm like, well, maybe you don't want to do that. Just come on the show, bro. It'll be fine.
Cool. Should we take a break?
Yeah,
and
let's
then
take a
come
break.
back? All right.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Snakes.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
We are back. Did you want to talk about the fusion?
Yeah, I had this weird dream the other night, and it just reminded me. I was having there was a normal dream going, right,
Okay.
with all this weird stuff happening,
Yep.
and involving the normal cast of characters in my life and just random stuff and
Yeah.
the kids and all this sort of weird, a little bit stressful, but just like a kind of a normal dream.
Yeah.
And then like the whole dream just sort of gets invaded by this dark character. Like, I mean, I don't know. We had just been watching Lord of the Rings, so he kind of looked like an orc
Okay.
type of thing, just like, and he's standing profile to me, and he's got this device in his hand, but it just looks like a cone, like of metal, dark metal or something like that. And he just starts telling me how to make fusion. And he's like telling me math, like mathematical formulas. He's telling me the exact like voltage
Wow.
and like giving me this whole list of stuff. And I wake up from this happening. Like I'm having the normal dream. And then suddenly there's just like dream, nothing else matters. And he's telling me how to make fusion, and it wakes me up. And I'm like, I'm awake before I open my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm still hearing the stuff that he's telling me. And I'm like, okay, got to remember that. And, but as I'm coming out of the sleep, I can't hang on to the information.
Yeah,
I'm just
of
like,
course.
And so I end up, when I'm finally fully awake, I'm like, what was the voltage, blah, blah, And the only things that I got out of it ultimately were kind of 2 or 3 main things. One was proton voltage, which is basically the same as electron volts. And then deuterium.
Yeah.
Okay, so
deuterium.
I didn't even remember if deuterium was a real thing at the time. I'm like, is that even real? So I grabbed the phone and I look it up, and of course, it's heavy water.
Yeah.
Which is what Fleischmann and Pons were using in their little cold fusion apparatus.
In Max's fusion lab, he had a, I don't know what you would call it, a crucible.
Yeah.
With a bunch of deuterium infused titanium dust.
Cool.
That he was saying was the fuel he's using for his fusion reaction.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I look up proton beam, and then I open a new tab and I look up deuterium, and then I put the phone down and went back to sleep. Okay, because I was like, I don't want to forget these later.
Yeah.
Because it was in the middle of the night. I woke up. So then the next day I'm like at work and I'm like, oh yeah, I had that weird dream or whatever. And I pull it up. I pull up those two things and I'm like, what happens when you fire a proton beam into deuterium? And sure enough, it's like fusion. And I'm just like, what?
That is weird.
Yeah. So I don't remember what the voltage is supposed to be.
Oh no.
I don't remember the math. And whatever this device he had was like a cone. Which then I started thinking, I was like, what was that? That weird. Anyways, I don't know.
I told him he needs to think about it a lot and try to get his way back there to see if the guy will list it out again and he can capture it next time.
Proton beams are not the easiest things to come by, though.
No.
That's particle accelerator stuff. Right?
So where's that happening?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Accelerators.
Where are those?
CERN.
Hey Siri, how do I make a proton beam? Oh, the volume's off. Oh, she's turning up the media. But it's anyways, thanks a lot, Siri. Appreciate that.
Clueless Chris, hey girl.
Okay, there's a variety of methods. A cyclotron, which is a particle accelerator, right? A device that uses magnets and radio frequency to accelerate protons from hydrogen gas to nearly 2/3 the speed of light. The protons are extracted from the cyclotron using magnets and sent into a beamline. Or a laser. High-intensity lasers can create energetic protons when they interact with a material. So that's what that was the other thing. Was it a laser? It was something about, there was something about the voltage. There was a specific voltage. Nuclear reactions. Proton beams can be produced through nuclear reactions. Okay, well. The sun emits proton beams.
Yeah.
So basically we need a pyramid. But yeah, they use this in cancer treatment too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like
targeting tumors and...
What's the word? Deuterium? Deuterium? So if there's if there was like a big old batch of deuterium and then the beam comes from the sun.
She's trying to make the pyramid work.
Come through the pyramid into the deuterium. And then you have fusion. And then what happens to the pyramid?
Oh, that's what the shafts were for, right? The shafts you get the proton beam.
Yeah. I mean, you got to contain it. That's the thing with fusion is like, it wants to get really big, really fast.
So with all those heavy boxes, can it just hold it in?
It's the problem is fusion is hot, so it's once you get a fusion reaction going, it's so hot that there is no material that will contain it. So people try to use magnetic fields.
Oh yeah,
it's not touching anything physically.
There was another part of the dream at the very end because the guy gave me this chunk of crystal that was made with fusion. Oh, right. And so I start wrapping it in lead because I was going to go get it tested. Like, I had to prove that this is real. And then I start stacking boron boxes around it because I was like, yeah, you had shown me that boron thing. So I was trying to protect it from any further radioactive. So I didn't want any fission tracking or anything going on because it was it needs to be like, I don't know. There was something weird about it being analyzed in the lab without any further radiation damage being done to it or something like that. I don't know. Weird.
That is wild.
It was kind of cool, dude. Like these two things. I wasn't even sure if a proton beam was a thing. Forgot what deuterium was. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean the proton beams that they use in the accelerators, you generate it and then you spend a lot of energy making it like they don't
Pure,
really go
sort of.
faster, but it's like you're accelerating it, but really what you're doing is making them heavier.
Making it more massy.
Yeah. And I know I love the fact that like these big accelerators have these runaway beam tracks where if something is going wrong because you're expending a lot of energy keeping the beam going in a circle, it wants to go in a straight line.
Like
So-
for the 18-wheelers and the
Yeah,
snowmen.
exactly. There's a runaway track, right? And then it has all of this specially made material in a sort of like a sandwich board, like tons of it. And the whole idea is the proton beam goes down this straight track and slams into this stuff and collapses it as it absorbs the mass, the energy of the proton beam.
That's cool.
It's the same thing as having like a train going 90 kilometers an hour slamming into a barrier. It's like, it has the same energy. There's a bunch of protons. I don't know.
That's cool.
I find
Gallery,
that-
what's up, bro? He says,
Yeah,
Kyle,
hey.
maybe you mean the voltage needed to accelerate the proton beam. Could be. Typically, I guess that's kilo electron volts
Yeah.
or several
electron
mega
volts.
electron volts. Yeah, but why was he talking in proton volts? It's the same. They're the same. They're equivalent,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I
Marty.
don't know, man. It was just really weird. And it was like I was thinking about the difference between horn and ivory. Because like the first dream was definitely just ivory. It was kind of meaningless, just rando stuff. And then suddenly this thing comes in and just completely destroys the other dream.
Yeah, the old dream goes away.
And starts telling me the most, like, doesn't have anything to do with anything else that I was dreaming about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like, I was like, this is a horn dream just like busted in on my ivory dream.
That is weird. It's like if you're just hanging out with friends having a party or whatever, watching the game, and some rando just shoves in, and it's like, here's some state secrets I have to leave. Don't let them catch you. Okay, we have an interesting question here from Chris. $20 in a very old sode. You disagreed with the word debunk, that the proper word is bunk. Do you remember your stance on the word proper word, and can you elaborate? Well, yeah, this is me being picky with words.
hear
Bunk
it.
is something that's bullshit.
Yeah, it's
And so when somebody's like, I debunked this, it's sort of like saying, I de-iced my windshield. You took the ice off. So if you're debunking something, you're making it legit.
yeah.
Okay.
But people use it to mean I showed that it was false.
Yeah.
And it seems like a bullshit conjugation to me.
Yeah, I agree with
You're
that.
right. I agree too.
It should just be a verb. You bunked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Debunking something sounds like the opposite of bunking,
Yeah.
of something being bunk. So that was my stance on it. I still think that, but whatever. People use it to mean, that they made it, that they proved it wrong or whatever.
It did really quickly become an annoying term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though
Emails?
it is beyond its being incorrect in terms of.
Yeah. It's like, this is incorrect.
Yeah.
Hold on. Somebody's saying I'm the master or something. What is this? Laura is the master of the dot and lightning tangents. What is that?
On the
On the dot.
spot.
On the dot
Maybe
or on the spot.
On the spot.
Oh, yeah,
on the
yeah,
dot.
yeah, okay.
And lightning tangents.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
All right, we can tackle some emails.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything else?
No.
No, let's.
I mean, there's always, if there's more questions on the scanning stuff, we can tackle those as they come in as well. I don't have a lot of answers. I just thought the whole thing was an excellent preliminary investigation and shows that it's worthy to do more work. Chip says you
Chip has fusion dreams
fusion
as well.
dreams also.
That's fine.
Marty said, somewhere up there, he said that Lockheed has a patent on
Yeah, something
Yeah,
about the
go-
laser.
on
Yeah.
fusion controlled, laser controlled fusion.
Lockheed has patents for laser containment of a
fusion.
fusion reaction. Ah. It could
wanna-
probably be done in Max's garage.
This is true.
And yeah, hey Marty, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah. Hey, Marty. And hey, Cowrie. Did I say it? Okay.
Yeah, calorie.
Trying to get better at that.
Let's
Before I see
see.
you in London, I gotta get
Book
real good
of
at
the
Judo
Day.
shaker.
Okay, so this is from Luke from Iowa, also mammoth murderer in the Discord,
Wow.
in case you guys want to know. Book of the Damned and recent tornado. He says, "What's up, bros? I know this isn't related to anything recently on the podcast, but was just listening to the old Book of the Damned episodes again the other day because I find that stuff fascinating. I live in southern Iowa, and yesterday, May 21st, we had a large tornado go through a few miles from me. It ended up sadly destroying the town of Greenfield in Iowa. People's belongings were dropped on other farms up to 140 miles away.
Whoa.
Very easy to prove because there were checks and bank records with addresses on them. Local radar could pick up debris at 40,000 feet in the air, so it really does make you wonder about some of the odd falls or rains of strange debris reported from all over the world. That's it for now. Thanks for being a constant source of entertainment. Luke from Iowa."
Yeah, so we were not necessarily disputing the ability of tornadoes or water spouts or whatever to pick up debris and send it somewhere else, but it's the sorting of the debris.
Yes.
That's the really weird thing.
Right.
It's all letters.
Yeah, that's right.
From
It's only bank
Yeah,
records.
it's only letters from the power company that fall
Exactly.
in this one spot, and then 2 weeks later they do it again.
Yeah, that's right.
Bank records. Yeah, it is crazy though that still, I mean, that they could hold stuff, the pattern is such that it can hold heavy objects up in the
Yeah.
sky for this long period of time and move them.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw
100 miles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen a tornado. I don't think
I don't think
right?
I've ever seen one. No.
So
We've
if you
seen
were-
some pretty spectacular
dust devils. Yeah,
out.
and I've watched those things pick up objects from the ground and keep them up there
Yeah.
for a long time, and you can see it flailing around, and sometimes it looks like it gets escaped, but nope, gets pulled back in. But and so I can imagine that a tornado that is coming down from the actual cloud layer can pick something up, bring it all the way up into the clouds where it gets caught up in this, you have this rolling action up there, which anybody who's flown on a plane and you go through the layer of clouds and you hit that turbulence, I mean, I know some of the turbulence is because there's changing densities of air as it flows over the wings, but there's also a rolling motion that happens that is what builds up the raindrops, right? So you can get up there and keep it for a long time, especially if it's stuff like paper. This guy's saying letters and bank records and stuff. This would be paper. So yeah, and it can carry it hundreds of miles away. But frogs, and it's
And
all
only frogs.
Frogs.
Yeah.
There's no dirt. There's no leaves. There's no sticks. So
But
if the idea that the tornado goes through some kind of bog,
But most of the time they were pretty well size sorted.
Yeah,
too,
they're
right?
size
So
sorted.
they had a specific buoyancy
right,
in the air.
right. But there wasn't like similar falls of the other like larger and smaller
Yeah,
frogs. It's all baby frogs or
Yeah.
all
Yeah, that's weird.
caterpillars at the same roughly age.
Yeah.
Minnows of the same species.
Yeah.
Yeah. Within a range of
Well,
size.
they are hydrodynamic, so it had to have like that specific pattern. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like the little catfish spawn, whatever, the minnows, they got up there, but the perch, they were too flat.
Yeah, right.
So they
Flounder, definitely not gonna. But the other thing is like there were some reports of falls of fish where the fish were like rotting.
Oh yeah.
So did it go through and pick up a bunch of like a school of fish that had beached themselves and they were already dying?
That like a tide pool had drained and they were stuck and
Yeah,
died.
right.
Why can't it just be a plane flew over and dropped them?
I mean, it could be.
Some of these were before planes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
In the Book of the Damned,
Oh,
anyways. It's yeah.
Yeah, one of the things he talked about, like chunks of like unexplainable giant chunks of ice falling from the sky. Like, is this coming from planes? But a lot of it is pre-air flight.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was one
gonna
where,
read-
like in the beginning, he wants to tell you, he really wants to tell you really bad about a piece of ice that fell out of the sky that was the size of an elephant. And then he gets part of the way through telling you about it. And he's like, no, I can't do it. You're not going to believe me yet. Right. And then he goes through a whole,
Tells a whole bunch more false
multiple
stories.
chapters of stuff. And then later he's like, yeah, so there was a chunk of ice and it was they say, the size or the weight of an elephant. You know?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw a YouTube video at some point of a gigantic piece of ice just falling from the sky and landed
Yeah.
on the street.
Yep. Metal spheres. Like I've seen a couple of like strange metal objects that fall out, you know, they're like found in this farmer's field, but fell out of the sky. They're like, is it part of a space station or something? But the stories always just go away. You
Yeah.
don't ever get an explanation. Yeah.
Okay. Great email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for the email.
Okay. Okay, this is about the Yorkshire episode from 2021 from Chloe. Says, hi to both of you. I hope this finds you well. First time listener here. I feel a bit weird writing this, but I just wanted to say thanks so much for hosting and welcoming the myths and legends of Yorkshire onto your podcast. I'm Yorkshire born and bred and have always heard whispers of some myths here, especially fairies and scary dogs. But Shannon and you guys opened my eyes to a lot more magic and mystical things that are believed in my area. Thank you again, from Chloe.
Cool.
So I thought that was great. And Shannon, shout out to you. It was a
Yeah.
good episode. Okay, here we go. Hello from Ontario, and a question for Kyle. We need a jingle. Ask Kyle. Hello, Snake Bros. First off, I wanted to say thank you for what you do. I found your show through Where Did the Road Go? Just a little over 4 years ago now. I know it was just a little over 4 years ago because it was during the time that I was pregnant with my daughter. The last month of pregnancy, when I was mostly lying on the couch, eating and sleeping, as you do, I pretty well binged Snakes Bros episodes. It was a very singular time in my life that is hard to describe for a lot of reasons, but the show bumper music really suited it. Those pieces of music just felt right for the time.
Cool.
It also sounds too cheap to properly express it, but they resonated with me, and I feel like they will always stick with me and be an integral part of my memory of that time. So, sincere
Wow.
thanks for that, along with many more thanks for the book reports, guest interviews, deep dives, and all the fascinating episodes you guys put out. Side note, I once heard you reference Steely Dan, and I knew I had come to the right place. Please keep doing what you're doing because you do it well. Now, a question for Kyle. I heard you tell the Larry Sparks story on Soraya's show, and I was struck by it, not just because it's a remarkable story, but because it really aligned with some themes that I was mulling over at the time, and it actually inspired me to write a short story adaptation. I am now getting ready to self-publish a collection of short stories, and I'd like to include my adaptation of Kyle's Larry Sparks story in it,
Dude, that's awesome.
but only with his permission.
Absolutely.
Either way, thank you for sharing it.
Granted.
I hereby grant you permission to publish my story.
Yeah, and I'd love to have a copy. I want to read them.
Please send us.
That's
In
cool.
closing, wishing you guys all the continued snakeness. Get it? Badum, you deserve it. Cheers from Ontario, from Martha.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And shout out to motherhood,
Yeah.
you know, because damn, go girl.
Yeah, you know, you always hear like, oh, if you play Mozart to your baby while they're in the womb, you're going to be really smart. Well, what happens if you play Snake Bros?
Yeah. And Kyle's bumper.
You're going to be really weird. Well, Kyle's bumper music is going to help.
No,
with
they're,
it.
they're going to be
Yeah.
awesome. If you're in the Discord, hit me up.
Okay. Magic, assembly theory, egregors, and you, from Dave. Oh, yes. This is a book. You guys may remember Dave. Dave was the one that took on the challenge of, I was like, you know, like if you want to learn how to do magic, just start trying to do it, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is really long. I may not be able to read the whole thing, but attempts to become a wizard.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't
How-
think I've heard
he's-
any of these yet. I'm
How many
excited.
was it? He's at least one or two reports.
We've read two. Yeah. Pieces of two. Like they're always very long.
Okay.
He says, before I begin, it would be useful if the recipients or witnesses of this email were to fix firmly in their minds the following communication modifications. 1. Every single word that constitutes this message should be considered to be surrounded by air quotes. 2. Any words in the following text that are actually surrounded by quotes should be considered to have received a double helping of symbolic modification of the representation that is typically understood to be the result of the application of that particular class of quotes. Once this has been accomplished, the following text will possibly make some sort of sense. Dearest Russ, I was but a child when I took seriously your suggestion to use magic to find out what magic is. I can say without any exaggeration that my interaction with you on this topic sparked a great deal of learning and growth on my part, so thanks for that. I have traveled far and learned much since that fateful day. Consider this my final report on the subject.
Oh.
Seeing that all objectivity is constructed of biased interpretations of subjective experiences communicated by meat-modulated pressure waves, or alternatively, transmitted by one or more of an innumerable set of more or less abstract yet similarly based collections of symbols representing said pressure waves, you will not be surprised to hear that even though I now know what magic is, I am probably entirely incapable of communicating it in a way that is convincing or compelling. Notice that the above does not in any way claim that there is no such thing as objectivity. If it says anything at all, it says that even if we all agree, we're all still wrong. This simple statement is at the heart of what magic is. Now, with that millennia-old enigma finally and inarguably settled, let's move on to egregores. I should probably define that word in the context of this message. Is it egregor? It's egregor, isn't it?
I don't even know what this is.
Let me see if Google will tell me, because people are going to be really bent out of shape if I mispronounce that the whole time. I think it's egregor, but I'm usually wrong.
What is it? Well, he's defining it.
Yeah, he's going to define it. Okay, well, if Wikipedia says it's a concept in Western esotericism of a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a distinct group of individuals. It does not tell me how to pronounce it. Let's see.
Deaths.
Death Pits, 00.
Double lot. Says that the first was right.
Egregor. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Deaths Pit 00. Egregor.
Egregor.
Yeah.
Okay. So defining the word in the context of this message, egregor is a concept in Western esotericism and occultism that refers to a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group of people. So that's the Wikipedia definition. Or Wikipedia got the definition from him. One or the other. Okay. I believe that somewhere in our previous correspondence, I may have said something akin to, it's egregores all the way down. So thought experiment. Take 5 to 7 people, more or less at random, from all over the world. For the sake of this experiment, let's assume that all of them are relatively normal. No sociopaths, no psychopaths, just your everyday human being. The type that's entirely content to move through their day without trying to dominate or oppress. Stick them all in a relatively straightforward escape room. Let's give them a 5-step puzzle that doesn't involve higher mathematics, unusual athleticism, comprehensive spiritual knowledge, or any other inanities. Somebody in that group will become the leader. Somebody in that group will become the outsider. Most of the people in that group will be content to be followers and or advisors. There are many other subtleties possible here, but the important part is that every one of these roles is necessary for success. I would say that at least 85 to 90% of the time, those people would come together as a group and get out of that room within 3 hours or less. That's probably a conservative estimate. Above and beyond anything else we do as humans, we form groups and then do shit as a group. This is how we accomplish the works that all of us gather here to marvel at. Your favorite band is another great example. It's just now occurred to me that part of the difficulty that we have understanding those vases may be in part due to the fact that we aren't members of the egregores that made them. Anyhow, we're not the fastest runners. We don't have the sharpest claws. All we really have going for us is the fact that at our best, we can jog literally all day. We can notice patterns and predict the future with a reasonable amount of accuracy. We're pretty good at throwing stuff, and we can communicate abstractions to one another using the aforementioned meat-modulated pressure waves. We will sing happy songs of our ancestors to one another while we track, herd, and jog after our prey until it falls over from sheer exhaustion. We will then proceed to stab it to death with rocks that we sharpened using its dad's antlers that we hafted onto sticks with its mom's sinew. If it's lucky, we will probably thank it and do it honor for the sacrifice of its flesh. That's what a level 1 human egregore looks like in action. Wolves come close, probably chimpanzees too, I don't know. Jane Goodall would know but I am unfortunately not her. I bet cetaceans do it as well, but I ain't no whale doctor. Magic is, in part, the realization that we are a collective organism first and individuals second. Another part of magic is the recognition that our perspective is inherently and ultimately limited to the singular point of our awareness. Yet another part is the understanding of that point perspective as the source of the persistent delusion of our individuality as primary. One more part is the understanding that we are individuals first and members of a collective second. That last bit of cognitive dissonance is probably the biggest part of the entire thing. Many things can be true, even things that are plainly contradictory. Another part of magic is using that knowledge to accomplish highly unlikely shit. So now we get to assembly theory, but I bet you can see where I'm going. The idea that the primary thing that humans do is assemble into groups that accomplish things far beyond what an individual can do on their own falls right out of that theory. And in the tradition of as above, so below, you see where my it's egregors all the way down shtick comes from, also panpsychism. Yet another component of magic is cultivation and utilization of the ability to interact with the larger scale entities that we form a part of. I think you guys in particular understand a part of that. You are, in fact, highly skilled practitioners of the art. There are other ways of interacting, though. Think remote viewing. You think any of the coordinates in those experiments had never been seen by a human? Invoking or evoking thought forms that many people other than oneself believe in is another example. It's a lot easier to believe in something unbelievable if you know that lots of other people believe in it. Although I don't know to what extent a neuron can be said to interact with the personality riding in the brain that the neuron is part of, I'm pretty sure that I have at least eavesdropped on the thoughts of the higher ordered ones. When I'm feeling really froggy, I like to believe that they're actually directly addressed me, that they have actually directly addressed me, but I stand little to no hope of understanding what in the hell it is that they're of the world makes a little more sense when considered in this light. It's interesting, like, as I'm just reading this and thinking about this dream you had about fusion.
Yeah.
And this concept that something larger has reached out to you through this, in this collective, it has to talk to you through symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And the symbols that it accesses are a collective thing. They exist only in an abstract, something we all agree on. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's right. Like, this is, even if you just take away, like, let's forget he's trying to discuss magic here. Like, you can just view language as, like, where is language? Yeah. You can't touch it. You can't put your hands on it anywhere. We have books, which, like he says, are collections of abstract symbols that are designed to, like, remind us of meat sounds. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But all of this is a big abstract collection of ideas that we use to communicate imperfectly other ideas to each other. Yeah. Right? So
all bound by subjectivity.
Right. So something that wants to tell you about fusion for whatever reason, and maybe it wasn't even trying to tell you about fusion. It was trying to tell you something completely different. But it reached through all of these collections of symbols, and what happened was you got told about by fusion by an orc. Right?
Yeah. Obviously, the higher order being forgot that I can't remember stuff in my dreams when I wake up.
Or maybe actually Kyle's dream brushed by and invaded into his, because you said he was at the profile, like, mumbling something.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't really
was
talking to you.
Yeah, he was talking, but it was
okay.
like I never saw his face. He was like profiled, and he's just like blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
he's like blah blah blah.
Everybody's just floating around in these little dreaming bubbles, and they smash into each other. That could be a fun.
Yeah, I mean,
he was talking to me. It was weird. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand it, but it's.
That's cool. This is cool. Keep going.
Let's see. Okay, we're actually close to we've gone through the whole thing, almost the whole thing, Dave.
And it's been great.
Thanks, Dave.
So let me finish it, and then we'll take a break. Okay. Also, Kyle, he says, I owe you thanks as well. Our brief interactions on the $50 Dynasty Patreon inspired me to end a 30-year daydream and to get off my ass and write and record my own album, so thank you for that.
Holy crap, dude.
I've got 12 songs in the works. 4 of them are complete with vocals in the can. I'm going to follow the value for value model as well when I release it. The primary thing that I have learned in this context is that singing is hard, but writing good lyrics, especially when one's attempting to actually say something, is just about impossible.
Yeah. Damn.
I'd love to see you guys in Greensboro. It's as close as you've ever come to where I live currently, but I'm in the middle of a move and I don't think I'm going to make it. Still, I haven't ruled out showing up at the Tangent Cube with beer and hand drums. Anyway, I love you guys. Thankful for all you do. You bring a great deal of light into my life. Talk to you later. Prototypical Dave. P.S. Yes, the initial tone of this email was a bit much for me to maintain throughout the entire thing. That was excellent, bro.
Thanks so much, man. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
that
that.
was
That's
great.
awesome. Good luck on your album endeavors.
Yes.
It does take a while.
It does.
Yeah, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
Life marathon.
Really cool.
All right, let's take a break.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Snacks!
So somebody asked me about the bass. That is a 1995 Fender Aerodyne jazz bass, Japan made.
Oh.
Japan made.
It's great.
It is a good bass.
With nylon, with what are they called? Tape wound nylon strings. amazing.
Ah.
Best bass strings I've ever played on. Anyways, what's the deal?
I had another thought on the debunking thing.
Oh,
It occurs to me that because, you know, I was comparing it to de-icing, like you scraping ice off your windshield. So maybe you could properly use the word, but you're saying like, I'm debunking this idea from the greater concept of stuff that is true or in science or whatever, right? Like, in other words, you're scraping the bunk off of this proper
of the truth.
You know, yeah.
Okay.
But that's not ever how they use it, right? The thing that's being
I can see how it's looked at from that perspective. Like if somebody makes a video about something and it's wrong, they debunk it by removing the bunk stuff.
yeah,
From
yeah,
it,
right.
from the truth.
It just is weird because it's like that you
Like
have to sort of,
defatting a steak.
yeah, but you don't point to the fat
Yeah.
and say that you defatted it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say. You point to the steak, right? You point to the windshield and say I de-iced it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Okay. All right. A few more emails here, and we'll wrap it up. We got.
Well.
Just
I
mention
can-
them.
okay.
You should just mention it
To
for sure.
Ellen and Scott, thank you so much for the amazing packages for the kids, Snake Bros Kids stuff. It's books and magnets and keys, and just thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
two-
love that.
Two 1-up boxes that showed up for the kids is awesome. Is this? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so Old Smooth is asking about Robert Grant stuff. You know, last time we were in Egypt, there were a bunch of people on the tour that were talking about the video, or they showed it to us. I watched some of it, Ben, and then we went into the King's Chamber and looked, and like, you know what? I couldn't see it. I have to admit, I could not see that there had been anything carved in that chamber. I mean, you're looking at a rough, not rough. It looks like a surface that used to be polished that is no longer polished. It's granite. It's dark, and it's more like looking at static on a TV screen. You know, if you stare at it long enough, you see all kinds of shapes, but it doesn't look like they were carved in there. So I don't know. I didn't see it.
I think that it's similar to like clouds taking shapes or whatever, because like, you know, you can see something in the clouds, but the clouds in this case are the like the decomposition of the granite. So you have this smooth polished surface, which is shiny, and then where it's decomposed a little bit, that shiny surface has fallen off and it's rough.
Yep.
Well, we see this all over the place in all the granite artifacts there. You can at the Valley Temple, the columns are solid single piece granite columns, you know, square, and the tops of them, or no, it's the bases where they were buried in sand have decomposed a little bit. And so it's got that same look. Composition took place faster where it was buried because it's it must be some kind of
Chemical reaction in the
reaction,
sand,
degradation having to do with moisture and whatever, who knows what. But in the King's Chamber was never buried in sand. So there's not like a clear demarcation of like down below it's degraded all the way up to this point where the sand was, and then where there was no sand it's still polished.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the King's Chamber it's patchy. It's just degradation probably from moisture and whatever over time, and it's very random. And so the randomness of it's got shapes. There's shapes all over it if you're looking from polished to rough surfaces.
Yeah.
And it's very subtle. It's not like, in other words, they're not like deeply gouged or anything. It's just a subtle difference between a really nice polish and a rough surface.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can see shapes in it. Some people can see faces and whatever, and it's just like, well, is it really a face, or does it just resemble the geometry of eyes and a nose or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other
That's
thing
what I think.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is like there's plenty of artifacts in Egypt granite artifacts that were carved with some kind of glyph and are now heavily eroded, right? And so a lot of times you can see like, yeah, there was a bird carved into this and it's almost completely gone, but you can still see, right? And all of that depends on how deeply it was carved into the stone. Yeah. So here Kyle's going to show you a picture of the.
So this is an example of what I'm talking about. You got this polished surface here, which was probably, this is the original polished surface of the column. And then over here, this is decomposition. And so you can see on this pillar, the bottom is all decomposed. And even you can kind of see it's a little bit smaller, like it's really eaten up down low. And so it is patchy, but there's all this area that's still polished in this. So the shapes that the guy is talking about are these shapes in the King's Chamber, though. This is the Valley Temple.
Yeah, see, that one kind of looks like a rat.
Yeah. Or it's like, it's Santa Claus. Or,
could be Santa
the
Claus.
Grinch.
Yeah,
no, that's what it is. Here's his grin. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's what I think is going on there. Anyway.
Okay.
Totally debunked.
We specifically looked at the block up high in the King's Chamber where he had shown in his video that it looked like a very old carving of the eye of Ra, or an eye or something like that. And you could see that there were these patches of degradation up there. Look intentional. It looks like the stone is old and falling apart. It doesn't look like it used to be a carving that's now worn away. But I mean, I don't know.
We don't know for sure. That's just what it looks like. You know, when you go around and you're looking at all these granite artifacts and you see the various things that are obviously decomposition of the stone and not a carving.
Yeah.
And so then when you look at it in other places where maybe it's not so obvious, you can still recognize like, this is what's going on here.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But we don't
that
know
would
for
be,
sure.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like there were a bunch of people in those tours that were very interested in this idea, and we went in there with the intent of like checking this out. Like, can we look at this and we see these? And I'm pretty sure everybody, even the ones that were really excited about it, came away from it like, yeah, it kind of looks like degraded granite. Maybe there was a carving here, but it looks so similar to other degradation we see all over Egypt and granite stuff that it's just,
I was trying to find some pictures of
Kyle's
the King's
scrolling
Chamber.
through a million Egypt pictures. Got me really distracted.
I've never made an album of King's Chamber pictures, so I don't know. Anyway, we don't have to look at it, I guess, but
yeah. Hey, I appreciate the question, and this is, I don't have anything against Robert Grant. I mean, Ben has told me before that he has some really interesting ideas, and it's good to ask these kind of questions, and maybe he's right. There could be carvings in places like this, and it's worth it to look for it. I didn't see it personally, and I think most of the other people there with us agreed that it doesn't really look like there were carvings there.
Again, I'm not finding the King's Chamber, but here's another example, right? These patterns, this is just polished surface and degraded.
Yeah.
Or eroded or decomposed or whatever. So it does make patterns. It does look clearly like shapes. So it's not like they're not figments of this of his imagination. They're there.
Yeah.
The question is, were they?
Yeah. And to be fair, I'm the worst guy to ask. Yeah. I never see the face. So
yeah, me and Russ have had plenty of these. We've run into this multiple times because I'm like, look, dude, it's a spiral. This is just a serious shell fossil. He's like, I don't see it.
I'm not.
I'm like, this is a gigantic ammonite. He's like, it just looks bumpy.
Like the watcher gets always bent out of shape.
Yeah.
He's like, when we're finding fossils, I'm like, we've never found a fossil together. You show me rocks.
He's like, it's a fish.
It's got a fish in there. I don't see any fish. All right. Let's tackle some more emails. And yeah, thanks for the question. Okay. This is from... Wait, did I already go through this one? Another one? Maybe it's another one from Mammoth Murderer. I think this is a different question. Yeah. So from Luke from Iowa. Atmospheric pressure and cognitive ability. Sup, bros? I was perusing the back catalog and was listening to the live from quarantine episode on 139, and you briefly discussed telepathy and how the human race communicates with each other and with animals. I know it's been brought up several times that this seems to have been lost in humans, i.e. the Tower of Babel story. It has also been discussed several times that things seem to have been bigger in the distant past. Plants, animals, insects, and maybe even us have much larger, distant relatives. A driving force to this seems to have been higher atmospheric pressure and higher oxygen content. Since cognitive ability decreases in lower pressure and lower oxygen levels, like in the testing the fighter pilots have to go through, could the opposite be true? I was thinking that if our current pressure and oxygen saturation isn't what it used to be, then maybe our brains really are only running at half throttle.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just food for thought. Keep doing what you're doing. Peace. Yeah, that is an interesting idea. Because I have heard this, greater pressure.
Don't they have bars that you can go to where you just get extra oxygen?
Bars?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. There must be some great ideas coming out of those bars.
Don't they also pump the casinos with oxygen?
To give you a kind of a high in the casino?
Man.
It's like to keep you like really awake and like feeling good, so you're just like wanting to be in there and just like spending that money.
This is what we,
I believe it because, like the one time, well, I don't know about Vegas, but we went into a casino in Louisiana, like Shreveport or something. Chase and I were there and we went into this.
No, I don't remember.
And it was, we were going to help mom and dad do something.
Didn't go.
We drove out there, and Chase was like, he's like, let's go to a casino, bro. And there's this
classic Chase.
Yeah, it's classic. Of course. And there's, it's like Shreveport, small town, and there's this like neon shit, this building with it. And we're like, okay, we'll go to the casino. And yeah, when you get in there, there's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm not interested in gambling, right? But it's like free drinks. There's beautiful girls walking around, and you could just take a drink off of the platter. They're all carrying them around, totally free. And yeah, I'm like looking at the drink. I'm like, what is in this? Because we're drinking it, and I'm starting to feel like, man, this place is cool. And I'm like, what is in this drink? But maybe you're right. Maybe it was just the extra oxygen because it was down in the basement. There's no windows.
McGill.ca says this is a myth. This is a myth that you have heard that oxygen is pumped into casinos, but it's not. But I don't know.
Great marketing on the side of the casinos. Yeah. No. We don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we discuss often on this podcast are myths are more true than you think.
Yeah.
But oxygen bars definitely do this.
Yeah. So. And it's like, why not? We have greenhouses that keep increased CO2 in there because it's great for the plants. Why wouldn't you have a place? You're like, humans come in here. Let's give it oxygen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Anne who knits for Kyle.
Oh. Hi, Anne.
It's called A Presentation. For Kyle. My sophomore year of high school, I won the school science fair with a lecture on hamster genetics. So I had to go do it again at the Western New York Regional at the Buffalo Museum of Science. I had poster boards on an easel. The windows along the wall of the lecture room were open, and someone opened the door to look in. The draft took the posters off and under the feet of the judges. And the photo corners I had used to mount the pictures were not up to the challenge. So I had to scramble around collecting the pictures and quickly put them back on.
Oh,
dang.
Doing this, I bumped the stack of file cards for the lecture off of the table. Scramble and collect 2.0. The hamsters remained tightly curled up the whole time, maybe asleep, maybe deeply embarrassed to be associated with me. Why am I telling you this? Because I was never again nervous about speaking in front of an audience. I had made a complete ass of myself, and nothing could ever be worse. Cheers and best of luck.
That's great. Thank you, Anne.
So,
love you.
Next time we have to give a presentation, let's just like make it into a total disaster. And then after that, it'll be like, well, whatever. Can't be worse than that.
Yeah, actually, the one when we did the presentation together in at the Cosmic Summit, I wasn't
great.
nervous.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was cool.
Decky
it's thinking about it that's the worst part.
$2. Do a show with Gary at Neurotic. We did. We went on to Forbidden Frontiers with him one time. It was a while back.
Decky.
He's asked us to go on again. We haven't done it in a while.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we did go on with Neurotic. That was fun.
definitely.
We
do it
should do
again.
another one. Yeah.
You got another email?
I want to go do it in his. He's he's nearby.
Yeah, we
And
need
he's
to
got
go to
a
the studio. That'd be
Fantastic
great.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have more emails.
Yeah, you guys should go to a studio.
Let's see. This is Nick from Australia. The intro music to your podcast. Hey, brothers of the SERP. Hope you are well. Big fan of you fellas over here in Australia. Love the works you guys are doing. Just had a quick question. The track at the start of your podcast. I need to know what it is. I heard Kyle wrote the song. Is this true? If so, do you have it up for download online or anything? Because, man, just from the small amount I have heard, it sends some crazy vibes into my soul. I hope this email reaches you guys, and I hope to hear back. All the
Awesome.
best, Snake Bros. Regard, Nick from Australia.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, it is true. I wrote the song. Me and Ty recorded that version of it, along with some couple other people. Anyways, it's not available in that format, I don't think, anywhere. But I could put it up. We could put it up on.
The only time I know of that you played it, you went on that guy's show about
Yeah, Chaz's
Right.
show. What was it
Chaz's
called?
show, and that blue.
Does he still do that?
I don't think he does do that anymore.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember what it
it
was
was a
called.
lost podcast episode.
Anyways, I have that song in its entirety, but the new album that we released, Procession, has the original song on it, which is called "Wake of the Sun." But that part that we used for the show is an outro to it. It was a really long outro that we did in an early version of that song, and it's pretty cool.
However, we played it live at Cosmic Summit with the outro,
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Hey,
and we still haven't gotten the recording
I've got
of that show.
The recording has been given, but it's
Oh.
I just need to download it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's up on a server somewhere, and I got to get it. But yeah, so we can post that too.
Okay.
But I can put the song up somewhere. I mean, I don't know how we're
Yeah.
gonna do it, but
Well, I can stick it in the bumper. I mean, like we have a bunch of the bumper tunes in the Patreon.
stuff, yeah, I can
Yeah.
get that. But remember back in the day, we had Ryan.
Yeah.
He, like,
it
emailed
blew
us-
his mind.
He
Yeah. He was like, dude, I heard him. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. It blew his mind when he,
He
heard
was
it.
listening to all the Dynasty stuff, and he was like, he was starting to listen to the podcast. Well, the podcast had led him to the Dynasty music, and he tells us this story where he's been binging the podcast, so he's hearing that song
Yeah.
over and over, day in and day out, and then he's listening to some random podcast one day that I was the guest
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he went on this show, and at the end of the show, I had the guy play the whole song. He's a friend of ours, Chaz. And so Ryan's sitting there playing Legend of Zelda, listening to it, and the song fades out, and there's this real weird stuff he describes Ty's guitar, and it leads into the intro music, and he's just like, oh my God. So funny.
Let's see. I'm trying to answer this.
So yeah, I need to put it up somewhere.
Okay, so Manu is asking, in an early episode, you mentioned a woman
Oh, sorry.
who went public stating that a longhead was calling the shots in some meeting. I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
trying to find it without success. Do you remember any details?
Yeah, she was
She was like
Yeah, this
worked
is
for
a
the
little
World Bank or something, right?
She worked for World Bank, and like she just came out and just started claiming that like longheads were running everything in the banking.
Did she say
and then she
long
vanished.
heads? Was she?
Yeah.
No, she didn't call them longheads.
She didn't call them longheads.
She
but
said,
she said,
have you seen sculptures of Akhenaten?
Okay.
They have heads like that,
Okay.
right?
yeah, I mean, I remember that story, and I looked it up multiple times.
Yeah.
It did not.
Because people ask us this on occasion. Yeah, she went on a couple of shows and basically said that she was trying, and you could tell she's trying to sort of not say it. But this guy was like, "Hey, you're on the right show to say some weird stuff,
Yeah.
right?" And
Yeah.
she was like, "Well, she's like they're never the front. They're never going out
Yeah.
and talking to people, but like they are running the meetings at which the people there are the people that are running the meetings that run the world, right?" She was like,
Yeah.
somewhere way up the chain of command in the shadows are longheads, basically, was the whole point. I was like, whoa, dude. I don't remember her name, but it was really interesting.
Damn.
That's cool.
It's probably...
And then she disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
That was the obvious next thing that was going to happen.
After...
Kyle will look for it. I got more emails. That's a great question.
Damn, Watcher, where are you? I'm just sitting here with these two guys on their phones.
Watcher's been,
What's he doing?
I don't know. He's doing space medicine.
Space medicine.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe this is the person? I don't know. Well, I'll keep looking for it.
Yeah. Okay. This is another message for Kyle, basically.
You're picking all these Kyle messages.
This was funny. It's from Mark. It's called $500 Dynasty. Because after I bought the record, I had to buy a turntable. Though damn good music. I have my father's record collection of 78s from the 40s. I have no idea who these artists are, but when I can get my brother over, I now have the ability to travel back in time to help me understand what made my father my father. So hail to you from Mark.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. That's great. $500 dynasty.
That's funny.
Here's another one. It starts out with, this one's for Kyle. No,
Really?
see, they're all emailing. No one wants to talk to me.
You picked all these on purpose.
Yeah, you're flagging them. You're the flagger.
The title of the email is, "What is thy name, demon?" So this one's for Kyle. Sorry, Russ, but I will say as I type, the words seem to be ringing out in your signature beautiful voice, to quote the professor. But I would drop a smaller comment in the pit. But devising a proper name proved to take longer than this. All in good time, gents. He doesn't have a name for a Discord account yet. So, Kyle, to the point for you, sir, on episode 143, a previously requested song was played in full. Serendipitousness. This one has always been my favorite. In the spirit of Father's Day, happy belated, I was hoping to share this with you. My 3-year-old daughter has impeccable taste in music. I know, so saith every man, but I take no credit. Our bedtime routine is Daddy dances with her to whatever her ear settles on as we sift through my favorites on the Victrola. If Daddy doesn't have the record on my phone, of course, connects, and she seems to accept the lack of crackle and pop she loves so much from the vinyl. I think she might be an out of place artifact herself. Anyway, when she says yes to what is playing, I softly say, "Ladies and gentlemen, and now Led Zeppelin," or Etta James, or whatever.
Aww. I love Etta James.
I'd rediscovered, 143 on Father's Day and played the end credits for bedtime. She approved, and I announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kyle Allen." I know it's not the limelight, but to her it makes no difference.
Oh.
I heard with my own ears her commit your name to her in her tiny voice, Kyle Allen, to the pantheon of the music eterne. It may seem like a silly example, but music is sacred, and yours is no different, and it has moved my daughter to peaceful dreaming. Orpheus, I say you are a genius of note, for real, man. Thank you.
Wow.
P.S. Of course, I am a Dynasty fan. I do not yet have Procession on vinyl, but Kyle, even your bumper music is vinyl worthy. I would own it all. Just saying.
Wow. Babe.
Thanks, fellas.
Dang.
And Godspeed on the Sidewinder's path.
Wow, dude. Thank you so much for that. That's...
Yeah, dude. She's committed your name to so she can be like, Kyle Allen, when she wants to hear your music for bedtime.
That is really sweet.
That's super sweet.
Thank you for that. I love hearing those stories.
Yeah. Great emails from you guys. I think we can
list. Oh. Oldie. Pull off the old Dell. Stuck in the closet. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
And it's back regular weeks.
Yeah. So look forward to one next week. Even though it is technically now next week. I don't know. Is this one for this week?
I don't know.
That's up to you, man.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Well, it is. It's already out.
It's Sunday.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I guess the week starts on Monday.
Sunday is the beginning of the week.
Is it?
Yes.
Where is the beginning of a circle?
Thank you guys so much. We love you.
Always have.
Always will.
Good night, Adamu.
I love you the most.
Get back to work.